Thank you so much for joining us, Malcolm Barrett, here on the Bushwick Film Festival podcast. I have a lot of questions for you, but before I ask, I do kind of want to brag on you for a little bit
Oh, okay.
because you have such an impressive resume. It spans so many different genres. You've done comedy, you've done drama, you've done network TV, you've done indie, you've done films, superhero, Oscar-winning movies. You act, you direct. Your career is truly enviable. But I imagine that things were not always this way. And because this festival is for emerging artists, actors, directors, I want to take us back in time a little bit. Not quite to the very beginning, but to that moment where you saw yourself going from an emerging artist to somebody who really had their feet more planted in the industry. I'm curious if there is a moment in your mind of when that transition happened for you. Um, I see you making a little bit of a face, so I don't know what's on your mind at the moment, but I'm very curious if you have a moment in mind.
Um, well, one, that was the best intro ever. I need to take you around to wherever I go and just introduce me.
Great. My schedule's pretty free.
Oh, good. I forgot I did things. Um, yeah, so it's hard to well, here's the first time. Um, Speaking of being an emerging artist and all sorts of things, like, I'm from Brooklyn. I started acting at an early age, but later than I thought I would be. And I got an agent out of high school because I was doing a lot of school plays and I was going between doing, so I went to Stuyvesant, which is like a math and science high school. And so I went back and forth between being like a nerd kid doing math and science or a nerd kid doing acting. I think probably I'd gotten a play here or there. I think, the very first time you get a book a job is probably the most exciting time in your life because it's people you don't know saying this might be the right thing for you to do. And so I remember my very first commercial job um, this how old I am. It was for ESPN2. It was a campaign saying, "Are you old school?" And it was just me going like, "Hey, do you think, Kobe wears his socks high? Is that old school?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm just like ad-libbing and like it was in Hoboken, New Jersey. There's a picture of Frank Sinatra on the diner wall we were at. It was
Hmm.
very surreal as like this Brooklyn black kid who like, didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, like getting to see his dream come true. Which is why I do the festivals, right? Because it wasn't always an easy walk and it wasn't, I didn't always have the credits or the experience. And so, it's important to me that, folks from where I'm from Bed-Stuy and a lot of my family's from Bushwick, see their opportunities realized and their dreams reached. So that's probably one of the first times. And when I got a TV show called Louis with Luis Guzman, who's from the Lower East Side. It was when I was doing the Eurekan Poetry Cafe, and I was heavy in there because I was going to be a poet professionally. And so that was one of my first gigs, and me and him related because when I screen tested, because I told him I've been going to New Eurekans, and he's from LES, Lower Saida, and so it was very cool because that was the very first job I got, and it moved me to LA, and it was a pilot, and then the pilot got picked up, and that was my life for a very long time, and similar to this day, which was like getting an opportunity, kicking the ball, it not lasting as long as I'd hope it lasts, but still sticking in there and getting the next thing. And for beginning or even established actors, that is the life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if you can kind of take yourself back to that moment when you had booked that first job and you're moving out to LA. What was your expectation of what was going to happen next, what your career might look like? And I'm curious to know how did that overlap or kind of diverge from what did end up happening for you?
Yeah, I think I think I never expect success, although I prepare to have it always. Um, I think with that show, I've been in and out of school, college, like every second semester. I had never completed like 3 semesters in a row. Because I'd be one time I went to do Wit, which was a play, Pulitzer Prize winning play, went off for 6 months and then came back to school. People were like, why aren't you still out being an actor? I'm like, because it don't pay much. Like I was on tour for 6 months, and that touring paycheck after 6 months is probably equal to my first paycheck on Louis. Um,
I
um,
see. The whole 6 months.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
So it was a really interesting spirit. So I always thought I'd be coming back to school. And then one time I lost my scholarship, so I was out of school. And so then I'd done 3 semesters in a row, and I got this job, and it was exciting, you know what I mean? I was probably around 22, 23 years old. And I played a hustler in Harlem. And it was a lot of fun, and Louis always went to bat for me. And so it was my first experience. In a lot of ways, I was spoiled because, these folks were so kind and so nice to me, and Louis really took care of me. He literally he'd call me at like 6:30 or something like that and be like, "Bro, you want to go get breakfast?" And I'm like, "Dude's in Carlito's Way. I got like I'm gonna get up. I'm tired as hell, but I'm going." But yeah, I had no real expectation. I we shot the pilot, and I stayed with a friend of mine while we were shooting. Um, and then went back home and then found out it got picked up. And it's the most amazing feeling in the world, to this day, and I've been at this for a
Mhm.
while, but I'm in TV a lot, and and I get shows that get picked up and shows that get canceled. But as a result of that, I work with a lot of people over a course of time. And, the feeling of getting a call saying, hey, you got the job, never loses its luster. It's always, especially for a series job, you're always kind of excited. And I remember being very scared because I was tutoring up in Harlem at the time. And I was also rapping and just being whoever I thought I was, and going like, this is going to be crazy to have money because I don't know what that's like, and who will
Mm.
I be and what this world is. And luckily, every once in a while, God remind me, don't worry, I'll take the money away. So you don't have to wonder.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for
then
that. Yeah, yeah.
figure it out.
Right. You mentioned they're like I'm sure as many moments of like celebration and excitement as you experience, there's also a lot of heartbreak of things that don't maybe pan out as you would want, things, opportunities that like appear and disappear. Um, you know, I imagine there is like a lot of heartbreak that you have to manage alongside the excitement and the celebration. And I imagine that kind of heartbreak probably weeds a lot of people out of this career early on. Like it's just a lot to stomach, it's a lot to digest. So I'm curious for you, like, how have you navigated it? And yeah, how do you handle heartbreak and still get up the next day and, take the next step forward and keep going for as long as you have?
I think it helps that I didn't start with a lot. Maybe. Like I can't speak to everybody. I can only speak for myself, but it's like I was a poor kid in Brooklyn, who, in a lot of ways I thought it was selfish for me to try and go at this dream of doing this thing as opposed to being like, you know, a teacher, which I was at one point, or a bus driver, or something more helpful to the community in general. Um, but, at the same time, like this big risk paid off. And I think you get more addicted to the yeses than you get turned off by the no's. And so that I think has kept me coming back even when things have slowed down. And to be honest, doing this job long enough, it feels as though people keep hiring me. So it feels like this is a real thing. So I'm not as fearful, but at the same time, going back to what I said before, it's like I've been broke before. So it's like I've had opportunities that were thrown at me that could have been life changing, and turned them down because of whatever personal reasons I didn't want to do it, for image or artistic this or that or blah, 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 blah. But I've also lost jobs that were like super huge and life changing that I wanted to get, and didn't get. And it hurts. I mean, that's like a real thing, right? Like you have to be prepared for the loss because those are the type of losses you'll take in a career is going, this could have been me, and then seeing an example of that all over televisions or movies or wherever else, or having to pay this bill that you can't pay, or doing whatever repercussions come as a result of not getting it. And it really just it is a matter of like how much do you want a thing? Do you know what I mean? And how much do you believe you're doing in what you're doing, and how much you enjoy doing what you're doing. But even with all that idea of like you just gotta care more and will it and do all of that and blah 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 blah. It's also about adapting and being smart. I've had a million kinds of jobs, mostly artistic because I'm not that bright. So you'd think I'd,
Well, you went to Stuyvesant. I don't
yeah,
know.
well,
I
I
don't know if
guess
I believe
maybe.
that.
But I mean, if I was smarter, maybe I'd find something that was easier to fall back on. Because, I pick things like director and rapper and writer and things like that, which are like not going to be easy roads or automatic roads. But I also choose them because I like them, and I choose them because I have to be able to adapt, in this business that so often doesn't want people like me in whatever way like me, may be conflicting with their ideas. Um, and because also like this industry is hard for everybody right now, I mean, post pandemic, post strike, and with, this current administration's hand in so many things going on in television. It's a very hard road for everybody. This is, I think, probably one of the worst points in the entertainment industry in terms of just folks getting work. Um,
Hmm.
but you have to adapt. You have to be the kind of person that people want to work with. And you got to keep moving and keep your eye on a prize, and hopefully that will get you over the humps that you will come in contact with doing this job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So there's like a fluidity that seems pretty crucial to navigating like a path forward. Like
Yeah.
you can't be too married to maybe an idea of what a creative career should look like. And it's more about, I don't know, keeping your eyes open for the next thing, being smart about
Yeah.
picking the next thing.
I mean, I had so many ideas of what I thought my career was going to be, and it's not at all. Even though it's very rewarding. I think when you go into acting, you go, I'm either going to be a huge star or I'm going to be a failure. You know,
Mm.
and there's about a billion things in between that, along with living a life. Do you know what I mean? I think I also thought. I thought, okay, I'll start off in soap operas and then, then I'll do my thing. I'll start really doing the stuff because like I got two jobs two under five jobs as delivery man on soap operas. Do you know what I mean? So I was like,
Hmm.
that's going to be my life. I'll do that for 15, 20 years. And then I'll break into movies, hopefully, and take it from there. And my life is nothing like that whatsoever. It's nothing like any of my peers or my contemporaries. And it's nothing like what I thought it would be, any version, but it is very successful and it's been very fulfilling. I think the reason it's not what I thought it might be is because you can't anticipate all the things that are going to come at you, or all the things you will say yes to, or all the things that you may say no to. But that's like kind of the like cool part of life thing or something. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's fluidity. I have, make plans, but be fluid. I found that things stopped for me or slowed down for me when I stopped being specific about what I wanted. And once I remained fluid, but was more specific about the things I wanted to do and accomplish, I think those things became easier because my focus became stronger.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's almost specificity and fluidity seem like they're at odds, but it sounds like you found a way to kind of marry these two things.
Yeah, best I can.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about building community in this industry also. You spoke about how Luis Guzman was such a, important person for you early on in your career. And I think that's something that a lot of creative people relate to is like there are those people that you meet, and you may not know it when you first meet them, but they end up being like, being pathways to opportunities or, popping up later, further down the road when you least expect it. And film festivals are, one of the ways that people build that community and come to meet the people that they end up working with, for many years. So I'm curious for you how these specifically in-person gatherings of people, trying to do the same thing, trying to participate in the same creative community. How has that factored into your career?
Um, I think probably a large part of my career has been community. It's gonna sound silly because, mostly my mom, I think, is a big part of whatever community she's a part of, wherever she lives. We did Soup Kitchen for years. I think she's like now in a assisted living place, maybe, and she's like the head of the tenants something or other. So I think it's always been one of those things where it's just like I'm going to need a group of people. And going at it with folks, with a group of folks is going to be a lot easier than anything else. I formed a couple theater companies. Um, when I was a college kid, I had this thing called Inner Circle, and I was like, I'm going to bring people together. Like, I'm going to have these different artists and model, and then photographer, and then a writer, and then a musician, and we're all just going to know each other, and then like that'll just be our thing. You know what I mean? That'll be so fucking cool. I did that for a minute. I don't know what that had led to anything other than like, being around some really cool people and artists. Um, but it's always been a factor. I think honestly, a lot of the jobs that I get is community. Like it's a bunch of folks who work together have gone like, yeah, I wanna work with him again. So yeah, I just think it's an important thing, just to have, folks you can rely on, when things get weird or because you don't know anything or whatever it is. There's always good to, be around a group of minds that know more things than you.
Yeah, yeah. With film festivals specifically, I'm curious what your experience has been, because you've kind of been on both sides of, I guess, the table when it comes to being a creator, but then also somebody who is like taking in other people's work and judging it. So this is your second year coming back to the Bushwick Film Festival as a juror. Um, I'm so curious to know what the experience is like to be on that side of the table.
It's really easy. Not
Gotcha.
bad.
Okay, I can move on.
Um,
No.
no, it's fun because you get to. I think it's always fun when you're on the other side of a thing that you do for most of your life. Like, if you've ever done casting or directing, it's always interesting to just go like, "Oh, here's how fully wrapped in I was with my thing," and if I'm on literally any other side of it, my head is over here. So it was really interesting also just to see the things where you went, "Oh, this is bad, not even for a reason they may not realize, which is that, just seeing the tone and pace and like trying to be immediately engaged with a piece of material that you've never seen before and have no immediate connection to is always really interesting and telling. And I don't know, film festivals are always interesting to me because they always you always see a bunch of different kinds of movies. And the thing about film festivals is people always find a different way to gain your attention in the first 5 seconds. And
Mm.
that's so much of what movies are, right? A lot of it is just like, it's storytelling, but like, how do you grab and make a connection with people off the bat? And to me, it's always interesting to see the way different people do it. Some people do it with color, some people do it with imagery, some people do it with music, some people do it with shock. Some people do it by showing you something you already know and love. So it's always interesting because it always surprises me, and also because I feel like I always forget how movies start. And it's like you should remember these are like a key thing. But it's like it's really awesome to like see a film just hold you and grab you as soon as you look at it.
Yeah. Do you have any films that come to mind that where the opening has stayed with you?
I know that would be a good setup if I did. It'd be so so good if I could remember any movie. What's a movie with a good? You ever see Jaws?
Yeah, but the second you said that, I'm like, no idea how it
No,
starts.
I don't
Like,
remember
couldn't
how it
tell
starts
you.
at all. I have no idea. Did
Wow.
you ever see Gladiator?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't remember how it starts.
Yeah.
You ever see Ghostbusters? I'm just gonna name movies that I know you can't.
Yes, but couldn't tell you.
I
I'm now that you're putting the question back on me, I'm like, yeah, I actually can't name a movie. Sorry.
can't. But
Yeah,
meanwhile, there's a bunch of people watching this that are all naming their fucking. They're like, E.T., you don't remember this
I
part?
know.
I do remember the part in Ghostbusters, the opening, which is the library scene, and it feels very boring. And I feel like you're walking by a host of books, and then you see the old lady, and then she turns into the demon. That's kind of the beginning. It's not at
Yeah.
all. But anyway, what's your next group of questions, Simone?
Yeah, so I kind of want to stay on this path of being a juror because
Mhm.
for folks who are submitting their shorts and their features to festivals, I'm curious if you have like your top three pieces of advice or feedback or things that you think newer filmmakers should keep in mind when
Yes.
they are sending out their work.
Yes. One is follow all the rules. I don't have that as a general thing in terms of like making art, but in terms of like, hey, your film should be this length and this blah blah blah. Follow it just so you're not easily denied. Um, Good cinematographer is extremely helpful. A good cinematographer will carry a movie no matter how much it sucks, because at some point you'll realize it sucks, but you'll be too busy looking at it the whole time and just go like, wow. So always invest in a good cinematographer. Someone, don't just pick whoever's around. Pick someone whose work you've seen. And so that when you have a vision, that person can create that vision. When you go, oh, I want it to be like this, I want it to be like this, they will go, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's this lens with this light, with this color, with this camera. So many people forget that part of it because because we all have phones and now you can create like little, 8-second masterpieces, but there's something to be said for actual, the filming process and the movie making process. Obviously, sound is always important, and just make sure you're telling the story that needs to be told. Like just whatever it is, like, and this is a thing that you'll use a lot as a director, which is tell the story. Like that'll define the shots, that'll define the length of it. Like, if the story is guy who likes to get drunk and then falls in love and then has to give up everything, well, first you have to tell the story of the drunk guy. And so how do you tell that story? Do you tell it with close-ups on a glass? Do you tell it with the ice being over there? And like how long is that part of the story? Like everything's telling the story, along with what is the story that I'd like to tell and is it relevant and will this be interesting to audiences?
Hmm. Great. All right. You guys heard it. Keep that in mind. Follow the rules. Um, Now, to wrap up, I just wanted to touch a little bit on one of your latest projects, Average Joe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, from what I understand, you just finished filming season two, uh, part of which was filmed in South Africa. I'm so curious to hear what that experience was like with for you.
Yeah, well, the all of it was filmed in South Africa, all of the second season. First season we did Atlanta for Pittsburgh, and then second season we're doing South Africa for South Africa. And it was an awesome kind of adventure because yeah, it sucks that we had to go from Atlanta, because that was one type of awesome. But two, it was really cool to do a show in Cape Town and to be able to see monuments, sites, people that I don't think are often depicted in American media, or American television, particularly on, I don't know if our show's a drama. I think our show's called a drama, with some comedic elements. And so I think there's going to be some things that we don't get to see and some local actors that we don't usually get to see. I don't know that I had seen um, Table Mountain before in an American TV show, or Cape Town to this extent, an American TV show. So it was, or the attire, like all of it was like really cool to see, both on a creative level and as a person walking through Earth, who suddenly gets to see this, part of the world in this country and part of the country.
Yeah. And yeah, I think like, you know, I think about you've been working as an actor in film and TV for so long, but something that's great about that kind of career is like each project brings something new. And I'm curious, what is the new thing that you feel like this particular experience brought to your work?
It was amazing to be, I think or I should speak for myself, am very sheltered when it comes to the world, like America. Like I really only travel for work, and it's usually a great thing. But I still even get sheltered in that space. But to see, I think to just see more of a people, more of a culture, more of a world. Like again, I'm not like staying in the city and like, paying a rent and living a life there. Like I'm an actor on work, you know what I mean? But to see so many things I had never seen in the people, and I've lost every phrase I learned while I was there, but to hear the language and how multicultural a small space is, like you will meet 5 to 10 people, and those 10 people will not have the same sorts of tribes and worlds, the languages. Like everyone speaks at least three languages, and they all speak different languages. You're just like, oh, okay, we're like afraid to speak more than English here. Like even a secondary language is being prosecuted here. And so to be in a world that is so diverse, particularly when it comes to Black people, because I don't think we get to see that many shades of us immediately in the media. So to be there and see the
Hmm.
different languages and the different people and the different worlds and ethnicities was just like amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything in your career that you haven't done yet that you're hoping to do? Do you think about your career in that way?
Every day, I'm like, I need to be doing more shit.
Hmm.
Not a single day goes by. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff I haven't done. What's weird is I have a very interesting career in that I've played a lot of different kinds of people, and that changes as you get older and as you change. Um, but there's still things that I want to do. Like, I had a friend once refer to me as like a racehorse who's like constantly in show horse in shows. I don't know what show horsing called.
I was gonna let that slide. Like, yeah,
Yeah, thank
of
you. I
course,
have
the
no
show
idea.
horse. Yeah.
But yeah, they're like a racehorse who's competing against show horses or something. I don't know. But it's a thing of like I never really get to like really lead something. I do like really fun character work, and I have been a lead of things. I guess I just want to be number one. That's really it.
Hmm.
It's really what
Top
it
of the
comes
call
down
sheet.
to. I
Yeah.
just want to top a call sheet it up in a big budget thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really, I don't even care what I'm doing. Well, I do care what I'm doing. That's probably why I haven't done it yet. But yeah, so yeah,
Hmm.
do more. I want to play crazier people. That'd be fun. Everyone's so right.
Oh, I want that for you. That sounds great. Yeah, lead crazy man. Great. Somebody make it happen.
Yeah, done.
Um, yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Malcolm. It was great talking to you.
Okay.
Not nearly enough time, but yeah, glad we could hang.